Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled against the broad use of absentee ballot boxes in the state's elections. In a 4-3 ruling, the judges said the drop boxes may be located only in the offices of election clerks. The court also ruled that the state legislature, which is currently controlled by Republicans, has the sole power to enact laws allowing for drop boxes in more locations. Previously, the bipartisan Wisconsin Elections Commission had issued guidance allowing for the widespread use of drop boxes in 2020 at the peak of the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Soon after the ruling on Friday, former President Donald Trump called for Wisconsin's 2020 election results to be decertified. And joining me now to talk about this is Ben Wickler, chairman of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. So, Ben, were you at all surprised by this court's decision? It's pretty conservative. What's your reaction?
Julian, it's great to be with you. I'm sad to say I was not surprised because the Wisconsin State Supreme Court is dominated by Republican partisans. It's a little bit like the U.S. Supreme Court in that respect. And although drop boxes have in fact been used for decades in Wisconsin, historically mostly in rural areas where the local clerks only work a few hours a week, so they leave a drop box so that folks can return absentee ballots or bills or other formal documents. Suddenly, when drop boxes are used by many, many Democratic voters, including, I will note, a lot of voters of color in Milwaukee, our biggest city, where the Trump campaign tried to have all those ballots thrown out, suddenly the Republican operatives on their state Supreme Court decide that drop boxes are not okay. They couldn't actually win the election by making their case to voters, so they want to change who can successfully vote. And for us, this has to be a provocation to organize even harder to make sure people know the hurdles that Republicans are trying to put in their way and know how to jump over them, because the stakes just keep going up for the future of democracy in our state.
So I think now, in the middle of this pandemic, we understand why there was a need for additional drop boxes. Obviously, people wanted to be able to participate without exposing themselves to COVID-19. There are immune-compromised people, elderly people, people who live with immune-compromised people who want to be able to participate without getting COVID-19. But why was there the actual backlash in the first place to the idea of drop boxes in 2020?
Here's the irony. The Republicans, they had no problem with drop boxes until they discovered that they'd lost. The Republican Assembly Speaker in Wisconsin, a guy named Robin Vos, who opposes anything he thinks might allow an even playing field where Democrats could actually win, when he was trying to attack some other form of voting, he said there are plenty of safe and secure drop boxes all over the place. I don't get why municipal clerks should be, in this case, allowing employees to collect ballots in a special, it was called Democracy in the Park Day. So Republicans were pointing to drop boxes as the secure alternative when they were trying to suppress other kinds of votes. It is just after the fact. It is sore loser turned into voter suppression as a political strategy. And this is frankly just the beginning. If Republicans win the governorship in Wisconsin, if they beat Tony Evers, they have 14 bills that he's already vetoed that they want to reintroduce. They want to dismantle the entire Wisconsin Elections Commission and put partisan Republicans in charge of overseeing election rules. Their whole theory of the case is to try to rig the system. And the only way to stop them is to prevent them from getting the power to do that, which means winning the governor's race, winning enough state legislative races so that they can't overturn the governor's veto.
So what's the plan, though, going forward in the short term? I mean, is the Democratic Party going to take this all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court? What's the plan of action going forward?
I wish I could say that the U.S. Supreme Court would offer some kind of relief to people who are subjected to voter suppression. I just don't have a lot of faith in that body right now. So the core of the plan here is to educate voters about what's happening, what the rules are, and then organize to make sure they get their ballots in through other means. They can still put them in the mail. They can still hand deliver them to their clerk's offices. They can early vote in person. We have same-day registration in Wisconsin. There are a bunch of other ways to vote. The thing that this hurts the most is people who did not get their ballot in the mail and they get close to Election Day, but they aren't able to go into the clerk's office for some reason. Now the opportunity to use a drop box is removed. So for us, we have to move the work earlier. Get out the vote starts now. We are currently getting out the vote for our August 9th primary, and then we'll be getting out the vote well in advance of the November 8th general election. If you're a volunteer, if you're a donor, if you're a voter, talk to friends and family, get people to vote early, put their ballots in the mail, or hand deliver them to their clerk's office. We have won elections under these rules before. We actually had a lower court ruling that led to a ban on drop boxes in our spring elections on April 5th. We won all over the state. So we know how to organize in these conditions. But we know a lot of people will just be tuning in who haven't voted since 2020. They'll be shocked at this ruling. We want them to turn their frustration and anger into voter action so we can preserve the right to defend voting rights going into the future.
I should note the answer to that question was organizing. And as a former organizer, I love when the answer to a question is organizing. It's not always the answer, but in this case, I think it is the plan of action you've described. Ben Wickler, thank you so much. Always great to see you, to talk to you. Please stay safe.
Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.